All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Whiskey Babble. Tonight we are broadcasting from Pat's house. You guys might remember Pat. He was the podcast. He was the go-kart driver, basically, and that was a really interesting podcast. But he led us on quite an adventure. We talked about The Simpsons and everything. Anyways, this is his lovely home. He was happy enough to have us in here. We got producer Matt over there eating some street tacos and.
Hey, everyone.
How much can you put in your mouth? Think you put the whole thing in your mouth?
That wasn't a very big bite.
I know, that's what she said, right? Do you ever watch Furious Pete on YouTube? No, Furious Pete? He's a bodybuilder and he does eating challenges. And it's really funny because he's this massive, cut up, six-pack and he's eating.
It seems like counterproductive.
Well, he did the you know that heart attack burger in Vegas? Mm-hmm. He did the heart attack burger in 4 bites. He set a record for eating this.
Disgusting.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, so business first as usual. Listening to the show, obviously you like to listen to things on your radio. So check out audibletrial.com/whiskey-babble. Over 150,000 books to choose from. You can listen to them, you can read them, you can do whatever your little heart desires. I'm sorry if anybody's watching the video and it just looks like I'm staring, it's because I'm watching Matt eat, and this is this is just great. audibletrial.com/whiskey-babble. Give them a listen. We also have another new sponsor tonight. Yay! Woohoo! Where's it at, man? There it is. Come on, let me hear that excitement. Yeah, maybe throw some claps in the post edit. We're also being sponsored tonight by Mamute Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. It's a jiu-jitsu academy in Anaheim. Great professor. His name is Bruno. Mamute in Portuguese means mammoth because he's a big human. Second degree black belt. 2009 second place in the world championships for no gi. In 2008 first place in the Pan Ams no gi. Third place world championships for no gi. Second place in the Pan American championships, and his list goes on and on. Great guy. Children's classes for everybody. Muay Thai classes. No gi classes, gi classes. For anybody wondering, gi, excuse me, I think I'm starting to get sick. Gi is actually the pajamas that we wear on the mat.
Pajamas.
Yeah, they're pajamas. But so everybody check it out. If you want to check out the website, it's M as in Mary, AMUTEBJJ.com. So MamuteBJJ.com. Check them out. If you go in there and you guys mention Whiskey Babble, you get a free week free to try it out. Trust me, you will not regret it. It's a great workout. And, if for some reason you go in there, you're scared or whatever, I'm there 3 times a week. So look for my face or ask for me, and I'll take you around and we'll get you all situated. Okay, guys? So tonight's whiskey is Larceny. I actually bought this at Bevmo. Because I wanted some whiskey, and they were putting this one out on display super cheap because they were trying to launch the brand. So should I read the back of the label? Is that what we're doing now? John E. Fitzgerald's weakness was fine bourbon, and he faced temptation every day. As a treasury agent with the only set of keys to the...
Why are you laughing?
Because he was a treasury agent, and he was, and it's just funny. To the rick house, taking from barrels was easy, but... He didn't just take from any barrel. He took from the best barrels. Some say he was a thief. Others claim he was a man of great taste. This is the legend of Larceny. Unlock the smoothness and decide for yourself. Wow. All right, so that's what we're drinking tonight. Anyways, guys, Whiskey Babble. Let's get this going.
Tuned to Whiskey Babble.
All right, guys, welcome back. Tonight's guest is Nicole. Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
This is my sister by blood, guys. Hold on, we got a margarita machine going crazy over here. Take a break. I don't know if the mics picked that up. Oh, God. Anyways, if you guys notice, Nicole is not drinking the whiskey tonight. She is with child.
I am.
So she cannot partake. So
it's a sad day.
It's a sad day in the... Britain home, because it's not, I was going to say my home, but we're not in my home. So what do you need? Pat.
Oh, sorry.
Wife's calling you.
I'm playing Super Smash.
It's not like we're recording a podcast or anything, guys. Kidding. So Nicole is a RN, which stands for registered nurse.
That's it.
And what are the different nursing levels? What are the...
Well, there's nursing assistants, so like patient care assistants, and then LVNs, which is really kind of being phased out. And then the RN, and then typically, like most hospitals now want an RN with a BSN.
Mm-hmm. We're just adjusting the mic here a little bit, guys.
Am I not talking into it loud enough? Do I need to slouch?
No, you're fine. You're fine. It's
Okay.
Good? Okay, cool.
RN with a BSN is what most hospitals are going for right now.
Okay.
So I
Bachelor's in Science of Nursing. Right?
correct.
Okay.
I do have my BSN.
Oh, shit. Whoop. Educated over here.
That's me.
fancy.
Got one of them papers.
Yeah.
You're learned.
It was online. It wasn't that much education.
You got yourself learned at.
Yeah, damn.
Barely.
You can do them.
Enough to get the BSN
Them
after my name.
doctor's things, you know what I mean? You know, being my sister, I tend to text her a lot whenever I have funny poops or anything like that.
Funny poop.
I wish I had that one where you said something like, I just took a major crap and blood squirted all over the back of the toilet. Is that
True story.
normal?
True
And I'm
story.
like, what is
What?
this?
The problem is when I start, this podcast is going in a great direction. When I start,
You could say that this podcast is going to shit.
it's going to shit.
It is.
When I start lifting, if I do like any type of labor intensive lifting, like squats or deadlifts, I get hemorrhoids.
Like defying gravity.
Yeah, like when I defy gravity with massive amounts of weight, and I always tend to get hemorrhoids. It's for everybody out there. I hope you're all enjoying this conversation. And
This is an
This
informative podcast.
This is a nursing
So,
podcast.
yeah, so there's gonna be some interesting stuff with the nurse questions. So I always tend to have really weird looking poos, and I always tend to ask her what's. That was like an exact like question of what I would ask her.
That's
It was
fantastic.
awful.
So you went to school, correct, for biology.
Yeah, when I started college, when I first graduated high school, I went to get my bachelor's in bio, and that was it was bio emphasis on physiology, in order to eventually be a doctor.
Okay.
And then organic chemistry broke me, and I decided that is not what I wanted to do. And we have lots of action happening behind us.
It's an exciting day over here.
Just drive-bys going on.
Yeah.
What the shit, man? Is my car still out there?
So anyway, I decided that's not what I wanted to do, and I took a year off of school, and then decided to go back for nursing. So I went to a junior college, actually, and got my AA, because really that's all you need in order to be an RN is get your AA. And then...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then...
I could be an RN. I have 2 AAs.
And then I went
nurse.
back and did my BSN online.
Nurse Jake.
Nurse Jake.
On the job.
You break them, I fix them.
You would be a terrible nurse.
Whoa. That was actually one of my questions.
Would you be a terrible
for
nurse?
anybody that's watching, I bought this thing. It's called a notebook. And
You actually wrote things in it?
look, it does this. And yeah.
Hey, is that them letters on that page?
I had to Google how to do letters, but I did it right. But yeah, one of my questions was, what were we talking about? Being
I said you would be this is how this all started.
okay, being a nurse.
I said
right?
you would be a terrible nurse.
Yes. So one of my questions was, what was your biggest motivation for becoming a nurse? What made you want to become a nurse? Put a little check mark next to that one. Okay.
Well, like I said, I wanted to be a doctor originally, and then I felt like that most physicians don't get the patient care time that nurses get, and that's the part that I like. I want to spend the amount.
No, keep going.
Oh, I want to spend as much time with the patients as possible. So.
Yeah, and one of my next questions was, why are doctors assholes? That really is written down here.
It says doctor complex. It doesn't say why are doctors
but
assholes.
my whole thing with the medical thing is, and I have a lot of, I love this country. Don't get me wrong. I love America. But I think we have a lot of skewed things in America. And one of them, besides education system, I think the healthcare system's a fucking joke. And when I say the healthcare system's a fucking joke, I mean the amount of charge, like just being charged for going in there for breaking your arm, and it's $20,000. where you can go to Mexico and get it done for like $1,500 and it's the same.
And come back with like a raging staph infection that
see, now
you're
she's gonna
now
start-
going to
see,
spend
this is why-
$150,000 to get fixed
This
here
is
in the
why I
United
wanted to
States.
go on that.
Yeah.
But why do these doctors?
Just saying.
Well, is it no? I've been led to believe that it's kind of like a it's kind of like a thing where doctors have been trained through med school to do like 15-hour days. And then when they come into the hospital after med school, they've just been trained like that for 8 years. So now they're on these 15-hour days and there's just like no remorse. And that's like when it comes to dealing with patients. Like, yep, you're dying. You know what I mean? There's no
No, I disagree with that. I mean, I definitely think that there are doctors like that. I think for the majority of the doctors that I work with, they're very good at patient care. I have a few that I work with that actually will sit down in a chair and look eye to eye with their patients and have conversations about what the plan is and things like that. I find that surgeons are actually the biggest dicks.
well
Is
when
that
I,
because they have like an inflated sense of like
they're the
I-
boss, right?
yeah.
They're the law.
Yeah, so that and they really only come in for like 2 minutes and
Yeah.
whatever, and then they leave, and it's the
And they
the
just got paid
hospitalists,
$500,000.
right?
Yeah,
It's
I
the
know.
hospitalists that really are the ones that manage the care.
Well, I was because, like, for example, when I went to my doctor, when I had a sore throat and everything, and that's another thing too I wanted to ask you about, like, what is like, because information is becoming so readily available to us as a society. We've talked about this on many shows, how I can Google whatever the hell I want to know and have the answers. So obviously it's relating towards the medical field where you can go to WebMD or whatever, and most of it's bullshit. Like, you know, I WebMD'd this and they think I have this, and they're like,
Right.
like what's the one on always on House sarcoidosis? Isn't that what they always have on House?
Yeah.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
always sarcoidosis. Or whatever.
Sarcoidosis or
Every
what's-
time.
What's the other one?
and it never
Yeah.
winds up being that, but that's always their number one
Sarcoidosis.
guess.
There's
But-
another one that they did
can't-
too.
yeah,
There's
I know, but-
sarcoidosis.
But yeah, so
and
anyways, like I went to
something
my
else.
doctor and he is the same doctor that my dad uses, right? And my dad swears by this guy. This was my first time going to him like as an adult, like solo, and I just felt like he like felt annoyed with me and like I was kind of like wasting his time. And I was like, he wanted to test me for mono, and he was giving me that look like he was telling me like, you're gonna have to talk to your wife about, you know, you have mono, like I was cheating on my wife or something like that because I had mono. Yeah, and no, listen, and I had to tell him, I'm like, I don't think this is mono because my body wasn't tired. I wasn't physically tired. I'm like, I think I have strep throat. He's like, no, you have mono. And he had it all written out for me to go to a specialist and
Oh my
everything.
God.
And I was like, can you just test me for strep throat, please? Then they swabbed me and I had strep. You know, it was kind of like he was
weird.
just, he was like writing me off. And like,
Because
I
you're like a punk kid.
Yeah, I think that happens a lot.
27. Like, I'm not like an 18-year-old walking in there,
27. That's the first time you went to the doctor by yourself as an
like,
adult.
yeah, see, what's this weird thing? I'm called
That's
an alpha.
frightening.
And
Yeah,
I don't get sick.
Mommy took you up until last year.
Look,
I'm
all right?
I'm the same way.
I'm a man.
As an adult,
I
I've
sweat
been
out
to the
my
doctors
sickness hunting.
twice. Both times were for major problems in the emergency room.
Yeah, I don't want to. What am I going to do? I'm not going to walk into the doctor. Oh, you know what I mean?
The
Like-
first time I got sat on by a horse, and then the second time was
Non-sexual.
I had my appendix taken. I had to have my appendix. I had to have my appendix taken out the second time. But other than that, I've never been to the doctor since I've been an
You
adult.
should go.
Well,
I'm
listen.
Just
healthy.
I'm healthy.
Get a physical.
Yeah,
Have
my
your balls
physicals are
checked.
free. I'm gonna start going and getting physicals now, but yeah.
Hey, my balls work.
Prostate checks.
My balls work. You have a kid, so hey.
I got
The proof is in the pudding, right? Literally. Proof is baby batter. What? So you know, and there's also a big shift going towards like not I want to say like I don't know if it's the right term, but homeopathic healing.
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
like at home healing.
Yeah.
And I know that weed's a big driving force behind that. Like
Oils is big right now. So that's like the big popular.
that THC oil or whatever.
No, it's not THC. It's like lavender and peppermint. And we have a bunch of girls at work that are actually really into it. More power to them if that's what you're into.
Hey, whatever. Whatever works for
They
you.
Whatever
will
works.
use lavender for sleeping and peppermint for headaches, and that thing is serious.
Does it put on a random drink? Is that why it spins like that?
Is it just telling you that it's still on or what?
It spins on a random drink every time, and that's what you have to drink. That'd be a pretty fun game. You don't have to.
There's a
drinking
random
game.
button on there, isn't there?
That's kind of cool. But yeah. So because I know that I don't know how we're getting on marijuana, but I like talking about marijuana. I don't smoke marijuana, but there's a big, well, it's been demonized for no reason at all. There's nothing wrong with it. There's literally, how many people have died from lung cancer from marijuana? Zero. You know what I mean? How many accidents were caused last year from marijuana? I don't want to say zero, but I don't know the exact facts, but a lot less than alcohol.
I heard a fact the other day that Colorado now has, or specifically Denver, their DUI rate has dropped by like a crazy
They made
amount
since
it's been
legal.
They've made so much money on taxing it that they had to give it back to the people.
Yeah.
I think eventually you'll see that marijuana is going to be legal
Absolutely
everywhere without it even being an issue.
But is that a thing in the medical field? Is that being explored? Because I know, like, okay, let's be real, and tell me if I'm completely wrong, but my impression is from the medical field, and this is just from my readings and everything, that Company A comes along, and Company A goes, hey, we got this great product for depression, right?
Right.
We got this great product for depression. So, Dr. Smith, you start prescribing this, we'll take care of you. There's kickbacks on the side. And I've actually heard that doctors will
Isn't
get
there
kickbacks.
a movie that like specifically sent? What is that movie? Oh, it's the Viagra movie where the
Yeah.
guy sells Viagra. What movie is
I
that?
don't remember the name of it.
But that's exactly how they portrayed in that movie.
Oh, I've never even seen that movie. I don't even know what you're talking
Do you
about.
know what
This
I'm?
is
You know what I'm talking about,
I know
right?
exactly what
I
you're talking
can't
about.
think of what that stinking movie is.
just- Oh.
Anyway, it's Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh, Love and Other Drugs is what
Yeah.
it is, and he becomes stinking rich by
he's
selling
like
Viagra.
he's like the drug company's door-to-door salesman.
Yeah.
Man or whatever.
Yeah.
For
But
Viagra.
so because it's such a big business in the pharmaceutical industry, is that why they're staying away from something you can grow in your backyard and like make that easier to, you know what I mean? Because if weed, that's what made it illegal in the first place, was because William Randolph Hearst owned a paper company, and guess what? It was a lot.
You know the most random shit.
Well, I read a lot. But
Oh
so William Randolph Hearst owned the world's largest paper company, and lumber was where it was at. Well, guess what? He realized that you could start growing weed in your backyard, and hemp was more pliable, cheaper to produce, and he didn't want to deal with that because he had a monopoly on the lumber industry also. So he lobbied with Congress, and they actually made marijuana illegal, and now it's just been demonized for a stupid reason like that. So do you feel like the big farm is not...
That's with a PH.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I should have said big pharma, right? Pharma, I think, is the proper term. But that's why they're not exploring these routes for medicine, because there's too much money on the line, because it's so easy to...
I have no idea.
It's just out of your pay grade.
That's way out of my pay grade. I have no idea. I think that medical marijuana, it's not something that we typically give in the hospital. It's not like I roll joints for my patients and bring them in and be like, you're on chemo, here's some marijuana. I have given it in pill form. We do that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it effective?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because there was one, I was listening to a podcast, and he was talking about how his friend's mom was diagnosed with some weird cancer, like stage 4, and she started smoking weed every day.
And she wasn't smoking weed. I listened to the same podcast. It was the oil.
Oh, the oil. That's right.
The THC oil.
Not
Yeah.
talk about
It's
it.
called something else. It's like C something oil.
Yeah.
Keep talking about it. Well, what happened?
Basically, like her cancer, like the tumor's reduced by like 90%.
It was some unbelievable, and she's still alive. They told her she had like 3 months to live, and she's been like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
That's
it was
crazy.
inoperable tumors, and she was not progressing with chemo or anything like that. Basically, the chemo was making her sicker than the cancer, so the doctor said stop chemo, and then she ended up starting doing this oil, and I guess the tumors reduced by like 90% or something like that.
Yeah, that's
Some
crazy.
unbelievable fact. Okay, so back to Nicole. So you got married
I did.
to the AK. Everybody's heard the
The
stories.
AK.
The
To
AK.
the AK.
The man, the myth, man.
Yeah, the myth, the legend.
So glad you all love him so much.
Dave, I need $100. Okay.
He went to the right guy, I guess.
Okay.
Dave was just like, okay.
Yeah, Dave, well, we were also drunk. Dave's just like, okay. Like, he gave him $100. Like, but
My husband.
Well, backstory, guys. I puked in the cab on my bachelor party,
Yeah, you did.
and we're talking like projectile, like vomit, and
there was like a
pretty sure
ridiculous
there's a full piece of
amount.
pizza in there,
Yeah.
and a couple chicken
like
wings.
unchewed piece of pizza.
So the
just-
cab driver goes, the cab driver goes, that's $200, bro. Like, you just puked in my cab. I guess there was a sign.
It wasn't
somewhere.
even a cab though. That was the best part about it.
It was like a van.
It was like
Uber.
an SUV. like a Tahoe.
So everybody had to come up because I was incoherent. So everybody had to come up with money to pay for it, and everybody's like throwing in $10 here, $20 here, and then Dave, I need $100.
My husband doesn't talk like that. Why do you make him sound like
He's got an accent.
a little baby one?
I'm not trying to be
you
derogatory.
It's accentuated when
when he's drinking, it comes
Oh,
out.
wait, that's true.
Exactly.
That's totally true.
These are intoxicated impressions. These
Yeah.
aren't.
Okay, all right then, continue. That's true. That's accurate.
So anyway, yeah. So married to the AK. And then you actually, now correct me if I'm wrong, but you were having trouble finding a job, and then luck happened that, well, not luck, but you had to move to Texas.
Correct. So
Why did you go to Texas?
for a couple of reasons. I graduated from nursing school, and nobody wanted to hire new grads at the time, which most hospitals really still aren't.
That's why I say it was kind of a blessing, right?
Yeah. So we, Adam has a daughter, Ashlyn, and she lives in Texas. And
Great
so
girl.
so we decided that if we were going to move anywhere in the country for me to try to find a nursing job, Texas was actually the best place to go. Mm-hmm. So we went to Texas and lived there. I think it almost took me a full year though to get a job there even, but I met a girl that lived on my block that was a nurse at the local hospital.
That's fine.
Okay.
She was a nurse at the local hospital, and so she's actually the one that got me the job.
Okay, cool. And it was a prison hospital, right?
No.
Oh, everybody in the room listen, because some of these stories are really crazy. So
No, it wasn't a prison hospital, but we were in proximity to Huntsville prison, which I don't know if it's one of the biggest.
Everybody knows Huntsville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Never go back.
Yeah.
When the patients
I'll die before I go back.
when the patients were too sick.
Yeah, you got my Fast and Furious quote. I did 3 years at Lompoc.
Oh my God.
I'll die before I go back. All right, go.
Okay.
Huntsville prison.
No, it's not. Yeah. So so when the patients when they would do things that were bad enough to themselves that they couldn't be treated in the infirmary, they would come to my hospital and we would treat them there.
Tell me some of the stories.
So, mostly they eat things.
Is this like violating any HIPAA laws?
No, because I'm not saying any patient names.
Oh,
you don't
okay,
know
good.
where I was working.
Exactly.
It's just
She was in proximity.
in general.
Proximity. Got it. All right.
Right?
I just want to check all the boxes.
Shit, we
Yeah.
didn't even know her name. Really?
Yeah.
Who says
So-
Nicole's her name?
Could not be.
It could be.
All right, so keep going.
Anyway, they just
Could be Cheryl.
swallow things. Razor blades.
They would eat the razor blades,
Pen
dude, from
caps.
their fucking
What?
razors in order to like.
Because most of them just
That's
want.
some gangster shit, right?
They look at it like a vacation from prison. They know that they're doing something to hurt themselves and they have to go have surgery, but it's like getting out of prison for a
Right.
week, even though they're still
And wouldn't
handcuffed to the beds and
and
they
wouldn't
have
the-
prison guards outside their rooms.
Wouldn't the doctors
the
be like
environment.
assholes and just be like, "Sorry, dude, shit it out."
Actually, no. They're,
That goes against their Hippocratic oath.
exactly.
doesn't it?
Exactly. It's their
The
job.
Hippocratic oath.
I used to think that it was a hypocritic oath when I was little. Like, but why would you say a
I'll give you
hypocritic oath? Like,
I'll give
that's
you a
pointless.
crisp $1 bill if you tell me what the two snakes swiveling around is called.
I don't even know that, I don't think.
I know it. I just don't know it off the top of my head.
I
I'm gonna have to Google it, but
I'm sure I'll recognize the
Yeah,
name.
once you say it. Doesn't it start with an A? I want to say it starts with an A.
wow, let's find out.
Anyway.
So keep talking.
So we just would get a lot of those. I mean, not a lot. It would be occasionally, but there's nothing like taking care of a
Caduceus.
Caduceus. There's nothing like
like a
taking
cool
care
name,
of a
like a
prisoner when
gladiator
you're
name.
like
It's
9
one of
months
them
pregnant.
50-cent words.
Yeah, right. My Caduceus is quite.
You're gonna remember that though.
Hey,
from
Jake,
now
how's
on.
your caduceus today?
It's effervescent to the quadrating bifactor of the. What?
Now you're making stuff up.
Totally.
So you were in Texas, and this is what I meant by it was a blessing because now you were actually getting the work experience that you needed in Texas
To come home.
and actually.
We actually had planned on just staying in Texas and, through circumstances or whatever, wound up coming back to California. I basically in 2 years, I got married. I got pregnant on my honeymoon. I got a new nursing job. I had a baby. And then we moved back to California. So it was just like 2 full years of constant doing whatever. Mm-hmm. But I'm thankful now that I learned nursing bedside nursing in Texas because the patient ratios are different. So I would have 6 patients, 7 patients sometimes if, we were short staffed. And here in California, it's 4 patients on my floor.
Why don't you read that question to me right there?
How many patients do you have at a time?
There you go, right there. Look at that. Boom. So you have
I take
4
care
at
of
a time?
4 at a time if they're telemetry, which is the heart monitored patients. And then if they're med surge patients, then we take 5.
And did we cover what kind of nursing that you do?
I'm a telemetry nurse.
What does that mean?
It means that all my patients usually are on the heart monitor, so we're constantly seeing what their rhythms are all the time. Yeah. You're crazy. In Texas, I was a surgical, post-op nurse.
Okay.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen?
I really haven't seen anything too crazy. I have a lot more years, I think. Code blues are always crazy.
What's code blue?
Code blue is when a patient is in respiratory distress or cardiac arrest.
Blue, literally.
Correct. They're dying and we need to run in there and put the crash cart together.
Does code brown mean they shit themselves?
Exactly.
It does. It's true.
No way.
It's not a legit code. It's a nurse code.
It's not one of the
we
ones
have a
that they
code
announce
brown
over
in
the
room
loudspeaker.
16.
What's the
code brown?
Well,
Code
what's the most not dangerous code, but what's the code where people go oh shit?
Code blue.
Code blue is the most.
Yeah.
Somebody's dying.
And then a code pink.
That's a baby stealing. Someone
Stolen
took a baby.
baby.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
No shit.
So when we had Liam, they had a tracking
They scan
bracelet.
him, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's a legit proximity bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
So that if you take him out of the floor that we were on, the whole hospital shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
All the doors close, alarms go off, security's going everywhere.
No shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They have they'll show you specifically don't pass this line or the
there's
alarm's gonna go
there's
off.
Big signs don't take children past this line.
I didn't realize baby theft was such a big thing. I'm being completely honest.
I don't think it happens often, but that is the things they have to do.
He had a bracelet with my name, my wife's name, and his name on him. And then my wife and I each had an identical bracelet. And any time that the doctors had to come in and take him out of the room or anything like that, they check all 3 bracelets and make sure they match before they take him, and then check all 3 bracelets when they bring him back. To make
Interesting.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's crazy procedure.
The freaking dark web, dude. That's what I'm talking about. That's where
We're going back to the dark web.
That's where babies go on sale.
We hit
man.
the dark web almost.
We try to hit it every
episode.
episode
Oh my
because it's pretty intense. Have you Googled it yet and read about it?
No, I have no desire. I'm good.
It's pretty crazy, man.
The regular web kind of freaks me out.
The dark web.
So did we touch on why you became a nurse? Did we talk about that? Okay. So code blue is the most dangerous one. Somebody's going into respiratory. What are some other codes? Now I want to know.
Mostly code blue. We usually we do a lot of rapid responses on my floor, which is what we call when we know a patient is going to code at any minute. So we do a rapid response first to try to prevent the code from happening. And then, so that we call that a lot. We have code 20, which is a code, a patient's having a stroke. Oh. Code red is fire. Code gray is a crazy patient.
We had code grays when I worked in the fitness industry.
Really?
If somebody lost their shit and was trying to start a fight or something like that, yeah, you would
That's a code
you
gray.
would page code gray to get all the staff there to break up the fight interesting. So back to one of my upcoming questions. Now, have you ever? It's gonna get dark.
Oh, God.
Have you ever been in the room when somebody died?
I have. I just was last week.
Oh my God. What happened?
I'm oh. Well, not to get into specifics or anything, but it was a code blue and the patient didn't survive.
And that was going to lead into one of my future questions.
Which he was my patient.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you get dinged for that?
No.
You get dinged
I didn't do something to him to cause him to go.
They're
into distress.
Nicole had 12 deaths this month.
Yeah.
We're taking you off of this floor.
No, I didn't
You're
get
kind
dinged.
of a monster.
No, I didn't get dinged.
So what now is there, because, so this question is twofold, and actually I'm going to lead into it like this. Now, is it hard as a human to separate yourself from your patients?
Yes. I think that's probably.
Because you have to.
Yeah. Well, you have to learn how to separate yourself once you leave. You have to learn that once you walk out the door to let go.
No, keep talking.
to let go of your job and not to think about your patients when you get home.
Switch it off.
Pretty much. I mean, you go home now, you have to take care of your family and do all those things.
Right.
And, you know, Adam always tells.
It's almost like the same thing as like a police officer.
And it's hard. I think it takes
stress.
a few years. It's very high stress.
Yeah.
So I think it takes a few years to kind of figure out how to do that. And new grads, I think, struggle with that the most.
Did I hit one of your questions?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Fuck. No, well, I was reading actually a thing and it was talking about like the most stressful jobs in the world.
Right.
And surprisingly, one of the top jobs was customer service, any type of customer service job,
which nursing has so
well,
geared to
because
now.
people fucking suck, and we've talked about that before. But I hate people, man. I really do. And then it led into the second two worst jobs were actually tied, and it was nursing and being a police officer. Because as Joe Rogan, as he mentions a lot, he doesn't believe anybody's qualified to be a cop. And he thinks that like people are barely qualified to be nursing, and he doesn't mean that in a negative way, like you're not qualified to be a nurse, but he means like human beings.
Yeah, it's hard.
As a people are so underqualified to deal with the emotional stress and the emotional.
Because you're literally seeing people at their worst moments.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you're not, nursing, you're not just taking care of patients, you're taking care of their entire family most of the time. So, and you're almost mostly taking care of the family, I feel like, as opposed to the patient. So, there's a lot of stress and a lot of, it's like I don't know how the best word I can think of is it's like I want to say powerful thing because they're requiring. Well, no, it's not even that. I mean, it is that, and it's not that. But they're really relying on you to make sure that that their family member doesn't die for your 12 hours that you're there.
Yeah.
So that's really, that's something. It's hard to let that go at the end of the day. So when you do have a patient that dies, all you think about is crap. Like, I just let that family member down or what, you know what I mean?
And that's why I wouldn't be a good nurse because I'm so caring.
No, you would you'd be a terrible nurse.
What the hell?
We get, you know what? It's
what
there's
the
a
shit
lot of
did I do?
Nothing. I don't mean it like that. You probably
You
would be. You're good
exist.
with
That's what you
people.
did.
So, I mean, you have to be good with people, but there's just we take a lot of abuse from patients too. We're not.
Yeah, I wouldn't take that shit. That was going to be one of the things I taught. So listen to this, dude. She told me this story when she got back from Texas, and I thought it was really interesting that when she started working at her current employer in California, that when she would address, and by she I mean Nicole, not the bitch in heat.
Oh my God.
Well, that's what Dad always says.
Whoa.
Oh.
That's your mother, not the bitch in heat. Whenever you call him
Got
she.
it. All
okay.
right.
Anyways, you never heard that phrase?
I didn't understand that for a second.
Oh, yeah. Dad says it all the time. That if she called someone, ma'am, they'd get offended here in California.
Right.
And if you didn't call someone ma'am in Texas, they'd get offended.
Right.
So it kind of shows the whole aspect of dealing with people and like.
You do have to change it up, and we have all different. Obviously, Texas is not as diverse as California is, so we get all kinds of cultures, and so you have to learn how to deal with those particular.
I feel like you see a lot of weird shit now. Trust me, it's a terrible thing. But I feel like you'd see a lot of shit with homeless people. Like,
you'd be surprised. Not really. I mean, I've taken care of homeless people before. But it's not.
Because we had a buddy that worked security for a big hospital, and he would tell us the stories of like.
I think they come into the ER a lot. I don't think they get admitted a whole lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So we actually we took care of a lot of people I feel like I had a lot more people in Texas that were uninsured that we took care of than I do in California.
Now, from an ethical standpoint, if somebody's uninsured, does that prohibit care?
Absolutely not.
No.
Nope. The hospital will usually pick up the bill, or they figure out a way to get them Medicare or Medicaid or whatever so that it takes care of it. But you can't turn somebody away because they're not insured.
It's like illegal, right?
Yeah.
Well, it never used to be, right? Couldn't you like get the fuck out of here if they weren't insured?
Well, the healthcare industry is changing as far as that's concerned. I mean, they pretty
Obama.
much take everybody. They'll
Gave
help
me a
anyone.
cell phone, got me some health care.
I don't gotta worry about my bills.
Woo-wee.
Don't gotta worry about my car note.
Obama can take care of it all.
Obama.
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
Edit that out.
Yeah, that's not appropriate.
I don't know if you guys can tell, but Jake and I are Republicans.
Yeah, hardcore. So leading into that about caring for the people, and not taking it. That's my problem. I take my work home with me, and I actually have to stop myself because, like I said, dealing with people, it is just so frustrating.
Oh yeah.
And like when it comes to, like, for example, I work in the automotive industry, so my check engine light's on. What does that mean? Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's 40,000 things it could mean, literally.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? And then they get all pissed when you tell them that you have to charge them for figuring out what the problem is. And they're like, well, they'll pull the codes for free here. I'm like, oh, I'll pull the codes for free. I'll tell you, oh, you got a problem in your EVAP system. Now tell me where the problem is in your EVAP system. You know what I mean? And I get so frustrated dealing with those people that I come home, like, kind of stressed out. So I really have to, like, drink 6 beers. No, I'm just kidding.
That's the hardest part about being pregnant is I can't come home and have a cocktail after work because it's
you
really
could.
If I lived in Texas still.
Yeah, right. You're not back in California.
Be a huge dick, but
Yeah.
you could.
It'd be pretty fucked up, but I mean, it'd be kind of funny. Like,
I think that we just get a lot of people where I think you have this certain, I would say it's about, I don't even know. I wouldn't say 50-50. More people are nice to us than not, but we get a lot of people who treat us like,
well, I just feel like
this is not a Hilton. You are not at a hotel.
I just feel like people are miserable. I mean, they're there and they're like when Grandpa was sick and he was just miserable and constant pain. You're getting people like that are just in this unbelievable pain, and it's just like,
moment.
fuck you. You know what I mean? Like,
the worst
I don't
possible moment in their
exactly.
lives.
Like, I don't want you to come in here and tell me like fucking adjust my bed. Like, I'm in pain. Get the fuck out of here, lady. I feel like you'd get that a lot. Like,
yeah, we do. I mean,
you ever had shit thrown at you? Like, literally
poop?
feces?
No one has ever thrown their poop at me. I have no one has ever done that. I had a guy.
That's a good question. That's a solid.
That is a solid question. No one has ever. I've had people who have, like, all of a sudden I go in their room and there's poop, like, all over their bed and, like,
There's shit
you're
everywhere.
just like, what?
Shit on the walls.
Like, what did you do? And, like, it's all on their hands and in their fingernails.
Are they
and,
coherent?
No,
Or are these
usually
people...
not. And you're just like, damn it.
Is there a term for, like, Freudian for, like, a 5150 patient or something like that? Like,
You just
5150.
5150.
if they're crazy, you call them 5150.
No. 5150 is a hold. So, like, if we believe that they are, not, they can't leave.
No, what I'm saying is there a term for, like, the person that you walked in there and they're covered in substance shit? Do we have a something in this room?
Oh no,
Like
they're just
like nurses slang.
Like a
No,
nurse slang?
no.
Like you say to another nurse, but not to the family.
No, actually not. I mean, you're just like, look, the lady over
We
here.
got a Poopcaso in room 4.
Exactly. Exactly. We get a. I mean,
brown bomber in room 5.
That's the title of the episode.
Yeah, we get a lot of confused patients. They call it hospital delirium. So these patients will come in totally with it, and within like a day, they have no clue what the hell's going on. It's bizarre. I had a patient. This is a funny story, actually. I had a patient the other day. If any of my nursing buddies are watching this, I think they knew I was going to tell this story. But it was a gentleman. He was very confused, and he would just yell all day. I mean, scream all day and all night. So I would go in there and I was like, listen, you need to be quiet. It's time to stop. Get out of my room, you donkey. I was like, so I just look around. I'm like, I can't believe he just called me a donkey. So then I start like, so then I just start like laughing, right? I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I can't wait to go home and tell my husband that one of my patients called me a donkey today. And then it's like 10 minutes after, I'm like, oh my God, maybe he really thinks I look like a donkey. And then I'm like kind of sad about it. It like all came around full circle. I was like, oh.
Something you have to realize about my sister is her whole life been very independent and does not take shit. And
right.
like what? Oh yeah, one of my favorite stories was actually when you said you were in New York and like the homeless guy walked up and was like,
with mom and dad.
Get out of my face! And the homeless guy was like,
I just told her to. It was some guy that was a creeper, and like we were with all women, and I was like, "Go away!" And he just like all of a sudden just like turned and left. I was like, "That was awesome." I didn't have to pull out my mace.
Just her whole life, man. That's how she's been. So back to dealing with bringing it home with you now. I feel like nursing would have a high level of depression amongst. I mean, what are your thoughts? Just from what you know. Obviously, you don't know the whole entire nursing community, but I mean, I feel like there'd be because you are dealing with these people, you are giving these people your everything, and then somebody dies, or you've spent your whole day helping this person, and then they die. Fuck you, or something.
Right.
Or they
say,
you,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Or
I mean, yeah, I think that everybody deals with it. I think every nurse learns how to deal with it in their own way as, your career evolves and as you start to become more experienced. I drink. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'll go home and have a drink because that's what I need. But
Grandpa's old cough medicine.
yeah, exactly. But you'll find that there's actually a lot of nurses are big drinkers and smokers and things like that because it's such a high stress job that when you go home you'll do anything to like decompress.
Just get out of
I mean, I don't know, I couldn't tell you who takes medication for depression or whatever. That's not really something we talk about at work, but I mean, I would imagine that it's
no
I think more stress than depression.
Are you guys close with the doctors, or is it like, or is it Dr. A walks in, does his shit and leaves?
No, I'm fortunate to work at a smaller hospital, so I know almost every single physician that I work with. So, they all know me. They all know how my style of nursing is, and I think that works well for us. We know what kind of doctors they are. And
now, I'm not saying this is like in a shady way, but can they get you prescriptions? And I'm not saying that like for illegal drugs. I'm saying if, oh, doc, my back's hurting. Can you? Oh, okay, cool. Here you go. Go grab some back pills or something like that. Or
I don't know if that's appropriate for me to answer.
Okay, no problem.
Actually,
yeah, that's fair enough. It was no. I'm not trying to get drugs or anything. I'm just saying if it was because you have that hookup, it's like anywhere you go. You know what I mean? If you go to the automotive,
it's just like if you know a physician that's a friend anyway. If you knew you had strep throat, would you go to the doctor or would you call your friend that was a doctor and be like,
I have him write your prescription.
I have strep throat. I know that's what I have.
Right.
Can you just give me a Z-Pack? They're most likely just going to do it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so think of it that way.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Friends in high places.
Good to know.
Don't be asking me for prescriptions, okay? I can't
no, I don't
do
want any prescriptions. I'm trying to go like the whole.
You don't want any prescriptions on camera.
Well, no, I hate taking medicine, dude. My whole life.
I'm not a big medicine taker.
I've hated it. If I have a bad headache, I'll try to figure it out before I take medicine for it. I don't think any of that shit's good for you. Like
I didn't even really take pain medicine. I took a couple of my pain pills after I had Blaine, and then I was done. And Adam was like, "Yeah, sweet." Because he's whatever. He's got like a prescription of Norco. And then
oh hell yeah.
And then after Luke, I actually took him because that one was a C-section and that actually hurt. But
see, in 2 times in my life in high school, I pulled my groin like thoroughly playing football, and the whole inside of my leg was purple. And there was it was dude, I couldn't walk on it. And there was a dude whose mom or someone. Sister, so his aunt was a doctor, and he had like gnarly prescriptions for Vicodin, and I was taking Vicodin, and this is why I don't understand why people would take Vicodin, because first off, that shit's insane, but why people would take it
affects people in different ways.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but why people would take it to get high, because I feel like the only time I've ever taken it was I had a legitimate injury, and it would allow me to get through football practice, and it was my right leg, so I would take it before practice, get through practice, and I'd have to drive home with my left foot. Because my right leg was jelly, and I'd have to
So I feel like if you need like on the subject of Vicodin, I guess since we're talking about that, but if you actually have legit pain and like need pain medication, it's gonna tackle those receptors in your brain to deal with the pain that you're dealing with. Right. If you don't have pain and you're taking it specifically to get high, it goes after different receptors in your brain.
I mean, do you get a lot of people coming in that are
drug addicts?
Seeking?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. And what do you guys? How do you know? How can you tell?
History. History. Usually, whatever their diagnosis is, we can tell by that because a lot of times.
Oh, my back.
It's yeah. I mean, yeah, but a lot of times that specific diagnosis is usually for patients who.
And they know what they're trying to get.
You give someone Dilaudid is the big.
That stuff's gnarly. The 2 times I've been in the hospital, they've given me Dilaudid.
Is it what's the shit that killed Michael Jackson?
That's propofol.
Is that the same type of?
No, propofol is usually what we give patients who are like intubated so that they stay asleep.
Oh, trippy.
Dilaudid is
pain medication, so they call it like
10 times stronger than morphine.
Yeah. And they say it's almost more addicting than heroin because it's.
The 2 times I've had it, it was intravenously, and that is the weirdest freaking feeling you'll ever have.
It's like you burn.
It's crazy. So you can feel it. So they put it in your IV and you feel like a sensation of it just getting heavy. And then it hits your heart and it goes, and your whole body just gets heavy.
Well, what do they?
It's crazy.
What do you think
man.
they
It's
put me on when
super
they put me
creepy.
under for my wisdom teeth?
Oh, they do like a twilight.
Because that was the weirdest. Because I'd never been put under before, and
That's not even really being put under.
I was out though.
I know, but it's like it's not full blown.
It's
It's sedation. It's not anesthesia.
Well, what was that?
I don't know.
The delay.
Keep going.
So they put me on. Well, she started hitting me with the laughing gas. So I'm sitting there breathing it, and I'm like, yeah, this shit's not working. And like I can hear like take it up, and then she's like, okay, now start breathing deep again. It's like by my third breath, I was like, yep, there we go. I
Yeah.
can feel it. And then,
Yeah.
So then they put in the stuff, and then I remember like I was on a roller coaster. I felt like I was on a roller coaster ride. And when I woke up, my dad actually videotaped me, and I was blinking one eye at a time because I was like so stoned. Like I didn't like that.
Is
feeling,
this
man.
real
But
life?
even after my wisdom teeth got taken out, I only took 2 Vicodin.
Yeah.
Because I don't like it.
I'm super sensitive to pain medication for some reason. So when I had Luke, I actually, since he was a C-section and he was planned, they put the IV in my hand, and it was a really big gauge IV. And I don't think they realized at the time that I was a nurse. So she's like, all right, I'm going to put this IV in your hand. I'm like, all right. So she puts it in, and I'm like, ow, that really hurt. And like, I look at it, I'm like, you just put an 18 gauge IV in my hand, like, which is big. Like, we don't usually use a whole lot of 18 gauges. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I full blown start to pass out. Right. And she's telling Adam, she's fine. She's fine. Adam's like, she's talking gibberish to me. Like, she's clearly not fine. Right. So anyway, all of that happens. They call a rapid response on me, funny enough, because they think that I'm going to code, which it was more of just like anxiety and, dehydration. But they finally gave me something when I got into the operating room. They gave me some fentanyl. And that stuff hit me so fast. And I was like, where the hell was this stuff like a half an hour ago? And the doctors are all laughing. I'm all, no, I'm like, I may sound like this is a joke right now, but I'm like serious. Like, I feel so much better. You guys should have done this a long time ago.
Now, do you judge, like what you just said, do you judge other nurses' work? Like, if you're like, oh my God, what is she doing?
I try not to. I actually prefer if people don't know that I'm a nurse, if I'm in the hospital, or if one of my kids is in the hospital, or if it was
Do you feel
Adam.
like they would treat you differently?
I feel like you get special treatment. Like if you get pulled over and you're a cop.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
I definitely felt like Adam and I got treated a little bit better because they knew I was a nurse. I think it was in my profile. So that was like a big thing whenever they gave report to the oncoming staff. They'd be like, this is Nicole. She's a nurse at blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, oh my God, like I don't need everybody to know that. It's not, it doesn't define me or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I don't judge other people. I find myself doing things that I probably shouldn't, like stopping alarms on IVs and things like
messing with the equipment
when I probably shouldn't. Because then I'm thinking, Mom actually yelled at me when we were in the hospital with Luke, and she was like, "Stop doing that." I'm like,
oh, I remember that.
I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. I just don't want to wear it. And so like I would take it off. She's like, "Listen, like I can't believe you're doing this. You're a nurse." I'm like, meh.
It's okay.
Do you feel that like with all of the new stuff that seems to be coming out with babies, do you feel like that maybe the medicine that we're using when we're giving birth or anything like that is causing these problems? Like
you're seeing all the commercials right now for Zofran, right?
No, I'm actually not. I'm just talking. Well, I know like the whole thing about the vaccines is bullshit. Like the vaccine movement
with the autism stuff.
Yeah.
You mean with autism? Yeah, that is bullshit.
Like the whole vaccine.
We're gonna get some comments here.
I don't care.
Did you not vaccinate Liam?
Oh, we absolutely did vaccinate.
Good.
Well, it's all bullshit. That's the whole thing.
No, I'm saying we're gonna get a bunch of comments.
I don't care. Fuck
Oh,
them.
because of the anti-vaxxers?
Yeah.
Whatever. Fuck them. It's true, dude. Like it's bullshit. It was created by a doctor that used false studies. It's all documented.
It's all fake. Yeah.
It
was all fake.
No, yeah, I'm a big proponent of vaccination.
But stuff like, okay, for example, like when you were in the bed giving birth and they plug a thing in you and start pumping you with medicine, could that affect the child or?
Well, they say that, they do it. You mean like when I got my epidurals and stuff?
Yeah. Don't they say epidurals are a big problem?
Epidurals don't cross the barrier, right? 'Cause
right.
it's a spinal thing.
Correct.
It's not in the bloodstream.
Right.
Know,
so if they put it in my...
I took classes.
Yeah. You used to go by my old apartment, man.
Yeah. So the stuff that they put in my IV, I think they always give you like a pretty mild dose. So it's not like, they gave me pain medicine before the baby was born. So obviously he most likely got a little bit of that. That's just the way it works. But, he's cool.
Don't they like time
He's not all messed up.
Don't they like try to time it a little bit too with that kind of stuff where they'll give it give you the pain meds before he comes out so that he's not super lethargic when he comes out.
Yeah, so like with me, they gave me the little dose of fentanyl, and then they did my spinal because it's different. You don't get an epidural with a C-section; it's a spinal. And then he was fine, obviously, when he came out, but it was all really quick. I mean, the how quickly they get babies out of you is insane. I feel like.
I watched a lot of 19 Kids and Counting. And I just watched the recap episode where they show all of her C-sections, and
love it.
They just flop it out, dude.
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty crazy.
All right, there they go, and then like stuff it back in there.
Yeah, Adam had a hard time with that.
The smell,
the cauterizing, and it's the cauterizing and stuff. Yeah.
Well, I had this thing in my nose, and my dermo went in there, and he like picture like a straw with like a rope that was been like fed through it. And it got burning hot, and he snipped this. It was like a skin tag in my nose, and I smelled like burning flesh. I was like, wow, I don't like how that smells. Then I was like, actually, kind of smells like good steak.
They do that when you get a C-section. They cauterize it to stop the bleeding, and it's like, is it barbecue?
Cooking my wife over there.
Adam was like, they're awfully rough. Ribs. They're awfully rough with you because they, they pull and tug.
On the table, like,
you're like trying to like.
What the fuck?
And Adam's like, you don't feel that? I'm all, no.
On the other side of the bed from her head is like the bucket where the suction thing is. So like all this blood's getting sucked into this bucket, and I'm like, just look at me, honey. Just look at me.
Don't look around. Don't look around.
Yeah, it's scary.
What do you do if a patient refuses care?
I don't give them the care.
Really, but what I'm saying is, if it. Actually, let me finish my whole question that I have written out here. What do you do if a patient refuses care at the risk of his or her own safety?
So we're big on educating the patients. So if it's for medication or whatever, we get a lot of patients that will refuse meds. I'm not taking that. I'm not going to take that. All right. Well, I just want you to understand that if you don't take this, this is what could happen. And then they either say, okay, fine, I'll take it. Or they say, no, I still don't want it. So then it's just big for nurses. It's all about charting and covering yourself and explaining in your charting that you educated the patient on what could happen and they still refused it.
So if I'm coming in and I'm having like an allergic reaction and this allergic reaction is going to kill me, and you tell me, no, we need to give you a shot and you'll be cured. And I go, no, I don't want that fucking shot, whatever. Who does my death fall on? Me, because I fucking refused the medicine?
You know what? I don't know. I would think yes, but I think that someone would
like
probably
an extreme like life or death situation. You know what I mean?
I think somebody would probably give it to you anyway if you were at like your age.
But does that break any laws or go against any oaths or anything?
It's such a fine line when it comes to that kind of stuff, to be quite honest. I mean, advanced directives is like a big thing in the hospital where it's really as long as it's in writing, it's been notarized. Like that's really what we're supposed to follow. I mean, if you came into the hospital and told me I'd rather die right now than you give me epinephrine for my allergic reaction that I'm having, I don't really know what the ER nurses would do. I don't know if they would do it anyway or if they would just let you die. I can't imagine that they would just let you die.
Kind of thing.
A lot of that stuff is
situational. Situation by situation. What about I had a question, I just forgot it. Okay, so a situational type thing.
Moving
on. Now, do you only because I'm asking this only because you work in a hospital, and it's something I've made my own kind of observation on, and I've talked with this about Laura a lot too. But do you feel that somebody gets more sick if they're told they're sick? Now, let me explain.
Like the placebo effect?
If I have cancer and I'm living my life fine and I have cancer and I go in there and you go, bro, Jake, you got stage 4 whatever cancer. Now, in 3 months,
yes,
I'm dead.
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think the mind is a really powerful thing. I've had patients who were totally awake, oriented, knew exactly what was going on, talking to me, and then they decide, you know what? I know I'm not going to get better. I just want to go ahead and die, and they die within 24 hours.
Wow.
Really?
Because they just sort of hit a point and they're done. They don't want to do it anymore. They're tired, and the mind is a really powerful thing.
That's something I always thought too, and then I always thought about if there's a way like doctors could educate better. You know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, Matt, you've got stage 4 colon cancer. Like, good fucking luck, bro. You know what I mean? Like, if there was a way that they could kind of let you know in a way where it wouldn't fuck with your mind. You know what I mean? Like,
it's kind of impossible. I mean, they sort of. I don't know.
You can only be so blunt. And
I'm really honest. I feel like honesty sometimes is the best way to go with patients. So I try really hard to just be as honest as possible.
Oh, cool. No, we're just sorry.
I know that throws me off,
We're
and then
trying
I
to-
forget
Alright.
what I'm talking about.
We're trying to get our timing down. What happens if you oh my God, are you kidding me right now?
Drunk margaritas.
What happens if you I mean, it's probably I think I know your answer, but what happens if you disagree with a doctor? You're shit out of luck.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if I disagree with the doctor, I really feel strongly about my opinion, then I will just go to them and tell them this is the way I feel about it. And doctors, especially in a hospital setting, really rely on us because we're the ones that are with the patients all the time. So you'd be surprised how much they trust us and accept our opinions, and we try to round with them, and we go in the room, and I think this will work for that patient, I think this won't. And usually you could just call them and be like, look, like, this guy's kind of going nutsy in here. Like, can I get something for anxiety? Oh, yeah, no problem. Like, they don't,
Right.
It's not like they come and see the patient. They take my word for it most of the time. So
No.
there's a lot of trust. We have a lot of responsibility.
Well, yeah, it's human
Like when
lives.
we had Liam, we saw our doctor 3 times for the entire week that we were at the hospital.
Yeah.
When he was born, the initial checkup, and then
The discharge.
the discharge. Yep. And that's
Our
it.
doctors
The
see
rest of it
patients
was
every day,
all
but
nursing.
yeah,
We
it's all
went
nursing.
when my father-in-law, he had like a throat surgery, and we went to pick him up from the hospital, and he was kind of stoned, so the doctor was explaining everything to Laura and I. He gave us like a 30-minute lecture on marriage because we hadn't been married yet. We were like, oh yeah, our wedding's, and her dad when he was stoned was like, my daughter's getting married in a month, and he's like, you know, life is a very valuable thing, and when 2 people can and he gave us like this whole big lecture about.
That's kind of nice.
It was nice, but I was like, all right, cool.
Not
Can we-
welcomed.
Can we
I
take
don't
him?
need
and-
your advice. We just
can
want to
we-
leave.
Yeah, can we take him and go? Like, what's going on? What can he eat? Like, are we good? Like, what's going on here? Yeah, so
solids.
Yeah.
well, yeah, so I guess like mainly what I was saying was like if let's say you got a hard-headed, stubborn doctor, and he goes, no, I'm gonna do this, and you go, no, like I really don't agree with that. Is there someone over him?
No.
You're shit out of luck, basically.
You either do it or you don't. I mean, you either do it knowing that it's the wrong thing, which I don't usually recommend, or you stick to your guns and say, I'm 100% not going to do that.
Can you walk away? I don't want to deal with this anymore. Then it's not.
I
my
have
patient
done that. I
anymore.
have done that, and I have just told them, I don't agree with this. I'm not doing it. So if you want to do it, here's the stuff. You can do it, because then it can be on you. But I don't think it's the right thing to do. And then they go, oh, well, I don't want it to be on me either. So then they don't do it.
So on that
Interesting.
topic,
Yeah, go.
because I know doctors' malpractice is a big deal for them because they're a doctor now. Are you like sheltered because you're a nurse, or
No.
would a malpractice suit like fall on you?
We're usually included. It's like usually what happens is if a patient sues, they're suing the hospital typically. So everybody involved in that patient care usually gets
Okay.
like, you know, deposed and whatever. I've never been involved in that, thankfully. So our big thing is just making sure you're charting. I mean, you don't have anything else to go off of. I have 4 patients every shift. I work 3 12s a week. So if I don't work back-to-back days, that I could have, you know, have up to like 20 patients if I discharge and get new patients or whatever. I'm not going to remember what happened a year ago.
Right.
So they're going to have to be able to pull up my charting and know exactly what I did all day long. And I have to rely on that to be my, you know, legal.
Well, when it comes to like malpractice, what is there like a frivolous aspect to it? Like, do you guys deal with a lot of bullshit malpractice? Like, what I'm trying to say is, for example, oh, bless you.
Sorry.
In the world of like, I guess anything, it's become so like, you know,
Get rich quick.
Well, not even that, but like you say hi to someone wrong and they're in HR telling you
Right.
that you sexually harassed them,
Right.
or something like that. Is it almost like, do you guys have to almost be more careful and tread more lightly in the medical field for fear of a patient going, she touched me inappropriately, or she said something rude to me, I'm suing, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna press charges, or
I just do what I do. I mean, I don't really worry about that part of it too much. I'm more concerned with the medication stuff and things like that. But I mean, I've never heard of that. I've never dealt with that. So I don't know if that's something that happens.
I know it makes
but
sense. You know what I mean? Like the world we live in.
it totally makes sense. I've never
Bunch of
heard that.
Tumblr fucks out there.
Wow.
She's not paying attention.
Oh, don't worry. When it comes up on the podcast, we're gonna talk about it. Oh, we're gonna go into
She's
it.
not paying attention. It's not her. It's not
I know.
Kaylee.
I know. But Kaylee brought it up. We're talking about Tumblr.
Tumblr.
See, there it is.
I don't even know. I'm so out of the social media game. I don't even know what Tumblr is.
I'm
It's for hipsters.
I'm a cis male, so
not
I'm
a
an
hipster.
asshole. I'm a cis male.
We'll talk about this later.
I'm writing this shit down. Okay, so I guess one of my very last questions for you is, I remember that our buddy that worked for a fairly large hospital, he had been dealing with this machine. I forgot what he called it, but it was a machine where the person would literally sit down and you could isolate the whatever.
You talked to me about this before. We don't have that at my hospital.
Yeah, it was like Mike was telling me about it. I guess let's just say his name. Fuck it. But it was a machine, and it could if you had like a 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter tumor in your head, right? You would sit in this machine, and only rich people could do it, like celebrities, and only like wealthy people could do this.
Not covered by insurance.
Nothing.
Crazy expensive.
And it would go, and it goes into your head, and it was called the knife, or it had some bitchin' name, like it's out of like, you know what I mean, like
the slasher.
Forward Unto Dawn or something cool like that. And it would find the cancer, and it would measure how wide it was, how deep it was on your head, and this laser would literally be able to just isolate that piece and zap that cancer. And then
like skin cancer or like brain cancer? No,
brain cancer in your head. And it could also isolate how deep it was. So if you had a growth an inch inside of your brain, it could zap it that inch inside of your brain without damaging anything else around it. I think it was called the knife or the blade or something cool like that. And but he was telling me about it. So one of my last questions for you was, what's what new advances do you see in like the medical field as it relates to like technology? I mean, we've talked a lot about medicine, but what do you see from like a technology aspect of it? Like,
it's really, I think eventually, I don't know. What I'm afraid of is that eventually they won't need nurses because
it's all robotic.
It's any career. I mean, I work in the automotive industry, and we're completely aware that we're not going to need technicians in 15 years.
Yeah, almost every industry that's inevitable.
But you see it little by little. It's expensive for a hospital to acquire new technology like that. So you don't see it very often. They buy little piece by little piece, and it's kind of like by the time it's to buy the next new piece, the one you already bought from a year ago is already outdated.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Crazy.
I think it's just we have a robot in the ER that goes around, like if we don't have a physician on our campus, it's kind of like a Roomba. I mean, it's big though. If we don't have a physician on our campus, they can telecommute through that and talk to the patients so you can see their face.
Well, they're doing that with school, aren't they? Where there's like for kids in like underdeveloped companies, they could put these robots there.
Countries.
And like, what did I say?
Companies.
Did I say, well, companies too, but underdeveloped countries. And, but like they'd put this one robot in the room. I think it's the one you're talking about. And a teacher in America could talk, and this robot holds the screen.
Same
and it would walk up to like each individual student, and like the teacher could look at their work, and and then like the robot could go back and.
And then this way they're getting faster one-on-one time with the doctor that they need to be speaking with, and they're not waiting.
Because essentially you could dial up anybody in the country and get their
pretty cool
instant opinion on something.
What's the most like prestigious hospital in the United States?
I have no idea.
Like, don't they always talk about like, the Mayo Clinic?
It probably depends on like.
It depends on what you're going for. Some hospitals are,
like
Johns
cancer hospitals or heart hospitals or.
Right. So they all kind of have different whatever.
What about in the world?
I don't know. I don't really care.
Are other countries?
For being.
Well, but like,
I mean, if we're being honest, I really don't.
No, but like, okay, you might not know this answer, but are
Sorry,
other?
that was.
No, that's true. But like for. You might not know this answer, like I said, but are other countries doing the same thing we're doing medically wise?
I almost think that some of them are doing more.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why are they doing more, or why do I think that?
Why are they doing more than what we're
doing?
Because
I feel like the other countries, certain countries, are so good at managing healthcare. That they have more expendable money that they can use to buy and create newer technologies.
And is like the oversight different than it is here, or does that play into it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just they're just more advanced.
Okay.
Not that we're not advanced. We're not like a third world country. But I mean, I think that experimenting and stuff like that is happening a lot more in other countries because they're able to, money-wise.
Interesting.
I'm surprised. This podcast I really thought was going to go in a whole other direction, like talking about our childhood and stuff like that. And I'm proud of you for sticking on point.
What? Well, one time when I was getting babysat.
Shit, I shouldn't have said
well, there's
that.
a bunch. Okay,
Are you going to talk about when I put your head in the toilet full of poop?
Yeah. So two stories. I was a real.
See, this is the funny stuff. I'm just saying.
I was a real skittish kid, and
little.
I was super skittish, and so my parents would leave, and
I am 7 years older than Jake.
7 years older than me. So our parents would, leave us, and she'd have to babysit me, right? And she would do weird shit, like we'd be sitting in the room, and she'd go like, she would stop and she'd go, "What was that?" And I'd be like, "What was what?" She'd be like, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, "Did I hear what?" She'd be like, "Jake, there's robbers in the house." "There's robbers?" And then she would run into a room and lock herself in the room and like scream like, "They're coming to get you! They're coming to get you!" And I'd be clawing at the door, like screaming. And then another one was, she goes, "Jake, come here." Like,
I want to show you something.
I loved her, so I'd go and want to talk to my sister.
You're so full of shit.
And she'd call me in there, and she'd be like, she calls me in one time, "Jake, come here, I want to show you something." "Oh, go walking out." I come walking in there.
You were like 5 or 6.
Yeah, big old toilet bowl full of diarrhea, and she grabs me by the back of my head and is trying to jam my head in
holding you
it.
upside down.
I'm this far from the diarrhea
He's
water.
Coley.
I'm sitting here
Stop it.
dry heaving over
What the hell is the matter with you?
of this toilet pot.
I did not want him.
Oh, she hated me.
So we could be clear about
And
that.
then I was able to get
I'm
my
okay
feet
now,
under me.
but-
I was able to get my feet under me, and I pushed back, and she flew into the bathtub, and like the whole curtain fell on her and everything. And I ended up running to the neighbor's house.
The neighbors would call my mom at work on the
Yeah.
regular and be like, "Your kids are fighting again over there. I don't know what's happening, but."
My mom would have to come home from work like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like,
Again?
Yeah.
Again, you guys?
She would just call and say, "You better knock your shit off, I swear."
I'd hear the noise. You know what I mean? That's the belt getting pulled.
Oh, no.
Sorry.
Not again.
Yeah. Fun.
Well, I think on that note,
On the diarrhea note.
we're gonna crash this one.
On that brown note?
On that brown
That
note.
code brown. Code brown.
Code brown.
Code brown. Yeah. So, thank you, Nicole, for coming to the show.
You bet. My
Give me a
pleasure.
cheers. Do it in front of your
Water.
mic. I know, but whatever. Cheers. Whiskey Babble. Nicole was our guest. RN. We hope you guys liked it. www.facebook.com/whiskey-babble, youtube.com/whiskey-babble. No, I'm looking at you, bro.
Don't look at me.
I'm gonna look at
He
whatever.
needs
I
your
wanna look at.
reassurance.
Damn it. Yeah, I need your confidence.
I
I'm
want
not
you to
giving
look
the
at
wrong URL or some shit like that. Whiskey-babble.com, guys. Check out the merch there. We got some great merch. How's that raffle coming? It's almost over.
We have 12 entries now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last one was only like 3, right?
7.
Oh, leaps and bounds, bro.
Mhm. It ends at the end of this month, the 31st. It'll close, and then we'll pick a winner, and somebody will get a shot glass.
Cool. How do they enter?
You can go to our Facebook page, go to the giveaway tab, enter your email address. Once you do that, you'll be presented with a couple of other options for some bonus entries. Or you can go to the website. There's a giveaway page there. Same deal.
Matt, I can't read.
Oh, God, Jake.
Oh, no. What can I
You
do?
could probably go to audible.com.
And what do I do there, though?
Well, there's 180,000 different selections of spoken word.
So I can listen to my stories?
You could.
Wow.
audibletrial.com/whiskey-babble, free 30-day trial and a free audiobook download.
Yeah. All right, guys. Also, Mamute Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. So it's MAMUTEBJJ.com. If you go in there, you mention Whiskey Babble, you'll get a free week trial on us. And try it out. You guys will love it. It's great cardio. It's great self-defense. It's a great workout. So Whiskey Babble out.